Hello, everybody. My name is Biliana. And first of all, I'd like to thank the Bulgarian Biodiversity Foundation for inviting me to speak on this webinar. I'm here to present my project, Light in the Salt, which was an artistic collaboration. We managed to do it with the help of the Bulgarian Biodiversity Foundation, as well as the Bulgarian Society for the Protection of Birds. And our project was funded by the National Culture Fund here in Bulgaria. Our aim, the initiative of our project was to raise awareness on the issue of nature conservation, more specifically about the Atanasovsku Lake, which you already learned a lot about. And we wanted to show it the way we saw it to the public, because it's such a big issue, nature conservation, and the only way to achieve it was to show a lot of people's points of views. And that way we wanted to reach a broader audience. And I think our whole team believes that art has the capacity to make people change their way of thinking, to make them feel something. And we hope that through art, we could wake some sense of responsibility on this matter, because it's very important to all of us. I'm going to introduce the team now, which started initially only with me. I'm a painter and I wanted to make an exhibition. I wanted to paint flamingos. But after I gave it a thought or two, I came to the conclusion that only one person couldn't do justice to the whole subject. So I invited my colleague Lyubika Georgieva, who's a visual artist. She created her first film, a short film called Landless, which shows the different aspect of the human-nature relationship. As you see, all the artists focused on different aspects of this relationship. She chose to focus on a darker side of it, which makes us sort of face our own contribution to the problem. And after we see what we cause with our presence, I think there is no other choice but to take some kind of responsibility on that. If we have time, I'd love to play the movie for you, but seeing as we're kind of running late already, I'm going to move on. Next up, I'm going to tell you about my work on the project, as well as organizer of the project. I worked as an artist. I'm a painter, and I created a series of canvases. I went to Burgas for a month and I painted by the lake. And what I chose to focus on was that side of the lake for which it has the reputation of being the bird paradise of Bulgaria. That phrase kind of stuck with me throughout the whole month there and throughout all my work on the project. And so I wanted to show the public the richness of life that we have right under our noses. And parts of my work was doing a series of postcards. You can see them here. And illustrated edition. It was a limited edition as well, which tells the story of the lagoon the way that I saw it. It has sketches, paintings, and it also has writings, which are my impressions from the lake, from my stay there. And all the proceeds from the sales of the books went on to help BBF's work on the lake. Next up, I'm going to introduce the last artists that took part in this project, which were contemporary visual artists Danica Nikolova and Eva Petrunova. They took part in the project as dancers, and they very passionately got into the job, into the whole mission, and they created an original dance performance. The original idea was for us to have a sort of interactive event, and for the dancers to dance amongst the paintings in the gallery, amongst the guests, so we could create a more active environment. But sadly, because of COVID restrictions, we weren't able to do that. And so we chose to do it twice, once in front of a live audience. That was on our first event in Sofia. And for that performance, the girls had a choreographed dance. But for the second performance, which was filmed inside the gallery because we didn't have a lot of time, they had to sort of improvise the whole thing. The dance was filmed by contemporary visual artist Biliana Ivanova. She directed the whole thing, she produced it. And because we were very adamant about wanting a special music for this, original music for this, I invited Bulgarian musical artist Bogi Manev to also take part in the project to create a musical accompaniment for the short video, which he did very graciously. And I have to say that all the artists who took part of this project were very passionate throughout the whole thing. And now I'm going to play a 30-second trailer of the dance so you can see more of the process, the artistic work that went into this.
We cannot hear the music.
Well, okay. Maybe I can share the whole dance as a file later on.
It's better.
Okay, that may be the best way to go about that. Okay, so now I'm going back to the presentation. As well as the whole artistic team that worked on the presentation, we had to think about our digital presence because nowadays this is a very important aspect of any project, especially, sorry about that, especially with COVID. We had to be ready in case of lockdown. So we created this app with the specialized platform Story, which works with museums and galleries all over the world. We had a website as well. And this included all the artworks. It included the movie, the dance performance. It had a virtual 360 walk of the exhibition, as well as an audio guide, which was recorded with the voice of Bulgarian actor Peter Bonev, who also jumped in with both feet. This app sadly was only active for 3 months because that was the subscription, but all the engagement with it only showed me how important it is to have that aspect as well. And now I'm going to tell you more about our events, which were the main point of this whole project. We had a couple of events, actually I think 3 on the whole. We wanted to spread them out over Burgas and Sofia. And our first event was in the Oil Chemist Culture Center in Burgas. This is where we premiered the short film Landless. This is also where we showed all my paintings for the first time. And it was sort of a smaller event compared to what was to come next because partly because the dancers still hadn't come in the project, and partly because in Burgas, the lake is very close by, whilst in Sofia, it's like a long drive away. And so when we did the next events in Sofia, we wanted to kind of transform the galleries into something closer to the lagoon. Our events were spread over different locations because we wanted to have different settings to the event so we could engage with different types of people. We didn't want to reach only people in the art sphere or only people in the nature conservation sphere. We wanted all age groups, all interest groups to see something that would engage them. We also worked with children, with the National Academy of Art. They have an art school for children in the summer. And so we had a unit about the Atanasovsku Lake and about the birds there. And our big event was in Sofia, in Gallery Finesse, in Gallery Finesse. This was the first event that showcased all the work that we had by that point. We wanted to create a more immersive and interactive experience. This is where the dance performance came in. And we also designed the whole gallery to sort of have elements from the lagoon in it. And we had great feedback on that event. We had a younger audience. We had colleagues from the National Academy of Arts, from the National Academy of Film Arts, as well as people from the Ministry of Culture and the Ministry of Education, all of whom were very impressed. And so this event just was like the best. Our next event was the final official event from the project. Our work, of course, didn't end there, but it was very different because it was set in a nightclub concept space. And so we had to have a bit more fun with the whole thing. We had margarita cocktails made especially with salt from the lake, which the colleagues from the BBF's project there helped us get. And we also sold prints, reproductions, postcards, and the limited edition art book for the first time. And all the profits from that went to support the Atanasovsku Lake. And I think that our project was a big success because we had a lot of people come up to us curious about the whole thing, children as well as more knowledgeable people. And the most telling part for me was that there were even a lot of Burgas natives, people that live in Burgas, who came up to us and didn't know about the Atanasovsku Lake, about the lagoon there. And so I love to tell these people that there's something that great and that fascinating right under their noses. And we had also a lot of media attention. Our artistic work gathered a lot of media attention, but I think that the most important thing is that our message touched a lot of people. So now the Atanasovsku Lake has even more supporters. That's about it. And I thank you very much for the attention. You can check out more about our process and our work on our Facebook and Instagram page, Flight in the Salt.